Alright, so recently I've had quite a few people ask me a few questions about the stamina restoration trick for horses in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This is a very useful trick for speedrunning because it allows you to keep maximum speed while riding a horse by restoring the horse's stamina at any point while you're riding. Basically the way this works is you're able to hop off the horse temporarily and then hop back on immediately while still riding. Looks something like this. So you see there, I used up some stamina, but I'm able to use these stamina spurs that I still have, even though they're invisible. So I'll do it again. And while it looks like I don't have stamina, I actually do still have all 5 spurs available. For whatever reason, they disappear in the actual interface, but they are still there, able to be used. And like I said, this allows you to basically keep full speed because you will basically have infinite stamina spurs if you do this trick. Before I actually get into the method for doing this trick, I'm going to preface this tutorial with a little bit of a warning. This is a kind of more advanced trick, and I wouldn't really recommend it for newer runners. And I wouldn't really recommend it for anyone who doesn't practice this trick consistently. The simple reason for that is that this trick, though it can save you like I think it's like a half second every time you do it, and that does add up over a long run where you're doing this trick maybe like, you know, several hundred times in some cases. That time can really add up that it does save. However, if you fail it by doing an incorrect input and you don't execute the trick properly, Link will actually fall off the horse, like, you know, something like that, or he'll most likely fall backwards, and you'll have to like get back on your horse. And you know, if the horse is running really fast, it's gonna move away from you. You're gonna have to run back to it. It wastes like 5 or so seconds every time you miss it, so it's definitely detrimental to your run if you're gonna be missing this a lot. So I'm just going to say that if you're a newer runner of this game, maybe don't really even look into this trick yet. Just, you know, just let the horse's stamina recharge instead of trying to keep it at max. This trick I think is only really worth it if you're trying to really push your runs to full optimization. And this is a great way to, like, you know, like, get a couple seconds shaved off every now and then. So let's go over the basic inputs for this. I basically do kind of a different input than a lot of people do, and the reason for that is it helps out with a visual cue that you need to do for the timing of this trick, but we'll go over that here in a second. Let's right now do the inputs. So, you can actually practice this just on flat ground. You don't need to be moving at all. It's actually quite easier to do this on flat ground than it is moving because terrain, as well as the horse's position relative to Link in its animation while you're riding on it, can really either help this trick be successful, or it can basically make it fail. So basically the inputs for this, what you're going to do is you're going to hold down ZL to target, hold down ZR to pull out the bow, hold down X, A, and then to execute the trick, you're going to simply release X while still holding the other 3 buttons. And if you do it properly like that, Link should hop off the horse, and then immediately hop back on. So that fully makes Link get off the horse, and then back on, and it restores the horse's stamina if any of it is depleted. It's a pretty simple input. You're going to want to do a lot of practice on that input because actually doing it fast prevents the camera from moving really close up to Link. You see how I'm doing it right here? The camera doesn't really move close into Link. And what that does, that actually is going to help out with a visual cue we're going to use for when to time this trick here in a second. Because there actually is a bit of a timing mechanic that you're going to have to keep in mind with this. That is going to ensure that Link actually successfully lands back on the horse. So basically, how do we do this timing thing? So, let's just like run with the horse a little bit. I want you to take careful note to the animation that the horse is doing while it's moving. You see how it's kind of bobbing up and down? You can like see Link's head bopping up and down a little bit too. But basically the horse kind of bobs up and down when it's moving, just like, you know, kind of like any animal or human does as they're walking or running. Same thing when it's sprinting, though a little bit more prominent this time. So basically what you're going to do is the timing for this trick is you're going to want to make sure that you release the X button to execute the trick when the horse is at its lowest point in this animation. The reasoning for that is because the horse at its lowest point is going from being at its lowest point to actually moving up into Link. And there's other horses here, that's kind of funny. What that does is if the horse is moving closer to Link simply by its animation, Link is going to have a higher chance of actually grabbing back onto it than if he was doing it the other way when doing the trick from the highest point of the horse, where the horse would actually be moving away from Link when he tries to grab it back on. So that is one variable with this. I'm going to actually get more into that here in a second after I describe one more thing to you. The terrain and the slope of terrain you're actually moving on does have a factor in this. If you're moving uphill, this trick is going to be very easy. So even if you're a beginner of this and you want to try doing this trick in your runs, I'd highly recommend trying to do this on uphill surfaces more than downhill surfaces. The reasoning for that is, you know, if you're moving uphill and you hop off the horse, think about it like the horse is going to be moving up into Link when you're still moving. And that's going to make it easier for him to grab on, and it's the opposite if you're moving downhill. Horse is moving away from Link while he's in the air, and the potential for him to just completely fly off the horse is much higher. So, my visual cue for this is basically the back feet of the horse. You can see them down below that middle spur, kind of near the L button down at the bottom of the screen. My visual cue for that is when the horse's feet are all the way back, and the horseshoe thing on the horse's foot is completely facing the camera. You can kind of also think of it like a bit of a tempo. Like when each time the horse comes back is like kind of like a beat and a consistent tempo that's always going on. So you just kind of want to count and make sure that you release the X button when the feet are all the way back. Now this is going to take a little bit of time to get a feel for. It is not something that is just going to come easily to you. But just practice it and get a good feel for it. So let's do it a few times. So I'm going to get rid of the horse's stamina here. And then I'm going to do the input. And then release X when it's all the way back. Just like that. And even on downhill surfaces, it does work pretty often if you actually get the timing correct. But sometimes it can be a little finicky and you'll fall off. But with proper timing and managing the surfaces that you do this on properly, this trick can be done pretty consistently. So yeah, that's basically this trick. That was an example right there of what happens if you actually fail it though. And you see how far the horse is away from me, so you know, you gotta run all the way back to the horse, hop back on. That's a decent amount of time lost if you fail it. But if you practice this trick enough and make sure you don't do it too many times on downsloped surfaces, you should be fine. But like I said, this is a trick I only really recommend to more advanced runners who want to shave some more time off their runs. And not really something I recommend to beginning runners because while learning the game, this is a trick that is probably going to take up a lot of your time if you actually want to, you know, get proficient with it. So yeah, that's basically the trick. If you have any questions about it or any, you know, comments, whatever, or other things you want me to maybe make a little video explanation on, feel free to let me know in the comments or hit me up on Twitter, or even just like let me know in the Breath of the Wild Discord. I talk on there quite a lot, so it's an awesome community willing to help out anyone with this game trying to learn to speedrun it. But yeah, that's basically all I have. So hope you guys have a good day. Good luck with your runs, and I'll see you later.